Alrighty, good morning, lesson 70, finding percents. So you understand the reason why we do things. We'll show you, but there's an easy way to do this. So I'm going to show you both. Okay? So first thing we need to talk about is 1/10. Remember that 1/10 also equals decimal 1, right? So when they ask us to find 1/10, you have to remember that we're skipping the decimal one place because there's 1 0, right? If it's 100, we're going to skip it 2 places. 1,000, we'd skip it 3 places. But when they want you to find 1/10 of a number, so let's say our number is 15, okay? There's no decimal in 15, but there is. We just don't write it because there's nothing behind it to talk about, so there's nothing, like it's not 15.25. There's nothing behind it. So what is it? It's actually 15.0, but if we wrote decimal 0 behind everything, we'd spend our whole lives still writing decimal zeros. So we don't actually write it, it's just 15, but the decimal is right there, okay? If you need to find 1/10 of 15, right? We're going to skip the decimal 1 place this way because 1/10 of it has to be less than the original number, right? 1/10 of 15 is going to be less than 15. So it has to go that way. If it went that way, it'd be 150. So it has to go this way. So 1/10 of 15 is 1.5. What about 7? 1/10 of 7, well, the decimal's understood to be here, so if I'm looking for 1/10, 1 0, 1 skip. So it's decimal 7, or 0.7, whatever you like. Okay? How about 167? Well, the decimal is here. It's 10%, 1/10, right? So we're gonna move it to here and it'd be 16.7. What about 127.8? Oh, we have a decimal this time. Doesn't matter. We're still skipping it 1 place to find 10%. So 10% of 127.8 is 12.78. Okay? So in your first question today, you are just going to be skipping the decimal place. Okay? So the first one is 7. Well, yeah, it's understood to be here. So it goes here, and in your box you should have 0.7 or decimal 7. I would take either. And I'll do one more. You have 6.4, skip it 1 place, decimal 64 or 0.64, your choice. Okay? Pause the video, go answer number 1. Number 2. Okay? 10% is short for 10 out of 100, right? So we need to find 10% of each number, which is exactly what we were doing in the first question. Because remember, 10 out of 100, if I divide this by 10 and I divide this by 10, I end up with 1/10. So we were finding 1/10 in the first question. We're finding 1/10 again. 10 out of 100 is 1/10. Okay? So, the second question. Well, the first one they ask us for is 1. Where is the decimal? At the end. Move it in 1, decimal 1, or decimal 01. Your choice. They're both right. And how about this one? 0.09. Okay? Decimal's here. We're still moving it 1 that way. So it's going to be 0.009 or just decimal 009. Your choice. Okay? Pause the video, go answer number 2. Okay. You're basically going to be doing the same thing for question 3, except this time they might ask you to find 20% of a number. So what you're going to do is exactly what you did for the last 2 questions. You're going to find 10% of the number. So let's say it's 55, okay? You know the decimal's here, 10% means we skip 1 time to the left. So it'd be 5.5. So if this is 10%, how do we find 20%? What's the relationship between 10 and 20? What's the relationship between 10 and 30, 10 and 40, 10 and 50? Any multiple of 10, super easy to figure it out, right? So 20 is 2 tens, right? So we're going to take this 5.5 and times it by 2, which would give us 2 times 5 is 5, 2 times a half is 1, so that would give us 11. So 20% of 5.5 is 11, okay? Or 20% of 55, pardon me, is 11. Okay, so let me show you how they've got the question written. They want you to find 30% of 15, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is find 10% of, and there is a blank there, but they've got it filled in. 10% of 15. I can do that easy. I've done 2 questions already. So I know that 10% of 15, my decimals here, I skip at one place, would be 1.5. But I need 30%. So 3 times 1.5 is 4.5. 1, 2, 3, and 3 halves makes 4.5. Okay? So that's the first one, which was mostly done for you. Okay? I'll do the second one for you. 50% of 24. Now, off the top, you should be able to do this in your head. Not the way that they're asking you to do it, but you should know what 50% of 24 is. 50% is half, right? So what's half of 24? We know it's 12, so let's see if we get the answer the way that they want us to do it. So the first thing you're going to do is find 10% of 24. And on their page, you have to fill in the 24, what you're finding 10% of, right? So 10% of 24, my decimal's here, 1, 0, so I skip it one place, 2.4. Now, I need 50%, so on the next line, I'm going to write 5 in my line times 2.4, because that was 10%, and it gives me my answer. Okay, so 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 4 is 20, which would be 2, so 12, which is exactly what we said it should be. Okay? I do one more for you, and then you do the rest yourself. Let's try, we'll do the last one just for fun. 80% of 0.5. Oh, they think they're so tricky starting us out with a decimal in it, but we got this. All right. So we need to figure out 10% of 0.5. Okay, I can do that. Pencil on the decimal, skip one place, because there's 1 0. And I get decimal 0.5. We could put a 0 in front just to show that the decimal's there. All right? Now I need 80%, which means I need 8 times this, because this is only 1 10, and I have 8 tens. So 8 times 0.05 equals, all right, let me think about this. This is 5 tenths, 5 hundredths. 5 hundredths. So 8 times 5 is 40 hundredths. So I need 40 hundredths. 40, and my zero's in the hundredths. Got it. So it's actually 4 tenths, but 40 hundredths is also right. Okay? You guys go pause the video, answer the rest of question 3. Okay, question 4. We got a chart. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's got 3 rows. All right, and we've got 5%, 10%, and 100%. Okay, and we've got 3, 6, and 60. Okay, and we've got 20, 42, and 1. Okay, so let's look at the relationship in the chart. The relationship between 10 and 5 is that 5 is half, right? So if 6 is 10, then half is 3, right? So if 20 is 10, then half, or 20 is 10%, then 10 is 5%, right? Now let's look at the difference between 10 and 100. 6, 60. 10, 100. Look at, they've just added a 0 in both cases. So in this one, what they're actually doing is multiplying by 10. But the quick way to multiply by 10 is just to add a 0. So we're going to add a 0 here, right? You're going to do the same thing for these. This is going to be half. This is going to be times 10. This is going to be half. This is going to be times 10. Okay, pause the video. Go fill in the chart. Okay, now we are going to find 1% of a number. Change the percent to a decimal by replacing of with times. Anytime you see of in a math word problem or anything like that, you can automatically just cross out the of and put in multiply. Okay? Multiply by decimal 0.1. Okay, so why did they say multiply by decimal 0.1? They're asking us to find 1%. Remember, 1% is 1 out of 100, and 1/100th is 0.01, 1 in the hundredths column. Okay, so to find 1%, we are going to have to shift the decimal 2 places, right? For 10%, it was 1. For 1%, 1 out of 100, remember, this is 100th, so we're going to shift it 2 places, okay? So in number 5, the first one says 1% of 300. And it's decimal 0.1, which is our 1%, times 300. Because there's 2 decimal places, we're going to shift this 2 decimal places. And because it's only a 1, it doesn't change the 300, because 300 times 1 is still 300, right? So, if we have 300, the decimal is understood to be at the end. We're skipping it 2 places, which means it's going to be 3.0. 1% of 300 is 3. I'd accept 3.0. I'd accept 3. I'd accept 3.00000, whatever you like, as long as there's nothing but a 3 in front of the decimal and nothing but zeros after it, if you choose to use a decimal. So let's try C. 1% of 15. Okay. So that means that we're going to go 0.01, which is 1% of 15 times 15. I have 2 decimal places, so I'm going to go 1, 2, and it's 0.15. Okay? Pause the video, go answer the other questions in number 5. Okay, number 6. Find 1% of 200. Oh, I understand. We're going to find 1% of 200, and then remember like a couple of questions ago when we found 10% and then changed it to 20 or 30% by multiplying it by 2 or 3? We're going to do the exact same thing here. Okay? So we're going to find 1% of 200. So 1% is 0.01, right? Times 200. So that means 2 decimal places, 1, 2, 2.0. So 1% of 200 is 2.0. So to find 2% of 200, that equals 2.0, which is 1%, times 2, because we have 2%. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? How about I do one more with you, just to be sure you know what you're doing. So they want 3% of 200. Okay, so we already found 1%. But let me do it again, because I forget. Okay, so 1% is 0.01. That's 1%, 1/100th of 200. So I have 2 places, I skip it 2, oh, that's right. And my 1% of 200 is 2.0. Okay, I remember now. Now I need 3%. So I'm going to take my 2 decimal 0, and I'm going to times it by 3 because I need 3%, and this is only 1%. So 2 times 3 is 6. Okay? Or 6 decimal 0, whichever you like. Okay? All right, go finish that last part of that question all by yourself. All right, number 7, use the method in question 6. So we are doing exactly the same thing that we just did. We're gonna find 1% and then we're gonna change it to 4%. Okay, so we need 4% of 800. Okay, so let's find 1% of 800. 1% is 0.01, 1/100 of times 800. So I got 2 decimal places, 1, 2, so it's 8 decimal 0, right? And now I need 4%, so I'm going to go 8 decimal 0 times 4. Because remember, this is only 1%. We need 4 of them. 4 times 8 is 32, so I would take 32 or I would take 32 decimal 0. Your choice. Okay? So 4% of 800 is 32. Okay, let's try one more. How about 11% of 60? Okay, let's find 1% first. So decimal 01, that's 1% times of 60. 1% of 60, 1, 2 is decimal 6, or 0.6, right? But we need 11%, so we have to take this and times it by 11, because this is only 1, and we have 11. So 11 times 0.6. Well, I know that 11, maybe I should stack this up. Let's see. 11 times decimal 6. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 1 is 6. I have one number behind a decimal, so I have to have one number behind a decimal in my answer. So 11 times decimal 6 is 6 decimal 6. Okay? Go answer the rest of the question. Come on back. All right, number 8. Fill in the missing numbers. So the hint they give us is 8% is 4 plus 4. 4% plus 4%. I could have figured that out. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh dear, it's a big chart. So I'm going to cut it in half, and then cut it in half, and then cut it in half each way. Oh, these are terrible. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, pretty cockeyed, but it's all right. So this is 2%, 4%, 8%, 10, 20, 10, 20, 50, 25, and 100. Okay. They have filled in 20 and 30 here. And 50 at the bottom of 10. And 60 under 50. And those are all the clues they gave us. But I kind of like this. It's like a mystery, right? Okay. So if 4% is 20, 2% is half of that, right? So we can fill that one in. And then if 4% is 30, and 2% of half of that would be 15, right? All right, so let's see what else we can do. 8% would be twice as much as 4, right? So I could use that to find that. Got it. Now what else can I do? Let me see. How could I get 10%? Well, 10% is made up of 8 and 2. So I could get 40 and 10 would be 50. But now I've made a mistake somewhere. Where did I make a mistake? Because how can I have 50 here and 50 there? 20. Well, 4 to 2 would be half, and I did that. 4 to that would be double. But 8 and 10 make 50. So how can I fix this? Let's see. Well, let's leave this one. Okay, see if we can figure that one out in a bit. So, how can we, wait, this doesn't make sense. 2, 4, 8, 10, 20, 50, 25, 100. Okay. Okay. All right, so we know that this 20 is correct because they filled it in, right? So we could get from 4 to 100 easy, right? 4 times 25 is 100, so 20 times 25, oh my goodness, 20 times 25 is 0, is 10, is 0, is 4, is 0, 0, 5. So it's 500. So this would be 500, right? Now, I could get to 50 from 100. That would work. So if 100 is 500, then 50 is 250 because it's halfway, right? Now, how else can I do it? Well, 25 is half of 50, so this would be 125, right? Because it's half of 50. Now, let me see. What else can I solve? What else can I solve? How can I get to 20? Oh, I could divide this by 5. That's what I could do. 100 divided by 5 would give me 20. So 100 divided by 5 is 100. And then I'm back to 50 again. All right, they just must be different numbers. All right, so let's try it again. 15, and I got to times it by 50 to get to 100 because 50 times 2 is 100. So I got no room to do any work. So I need 15 times 50. 15 times 50. Now, show you another little cheater trick today. If the last number in your bottom number is a 0, you can just add the 0 and then not skip down a row and just do your multiplying. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 5. 5 times 1 is 5 and 1 is 10. So 15 times 50 is 1,020. Does that seem right? Let me try that again. 15 times 50. 0 times 5 is 5. Or 0, pardon me. 5 times 5 is 25. Oh my Lord, what is wrong with me today? 0, 5, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is, there we go. 5 times 1 is 7. So 750. So 15, so this is 750. I can go from 100 to 50 easily. I cut it in half. That'd be 375. If I cut that in half, I can get 25. So 375 is 300 is 150, and half of 75 would be 3750. So 150, 187.50, 187.5, right? So if 15 doubled is 30, then 30 doubled would be 60, and 8 and 2 make 10, so 60 and 15 make 75. And 75 doubled would be 150. Okay, you do the last two yourself. Remember, start with what they have and find something you can make easily. Cut it in half, double it. Okay? All right, pause the video, go answer number 8. All right. Bye, Cam.
Bye.
Number 9. If 45% of 9, if 45% is 9, what is 90%? Okay, so if 45% is 9, what is 90%? Right? Okay, so here's what you have to do. You need to look at what you have and find out the relationship to what you need to find. What's the relationship between 45 and 90? 45 doubled is 90. So if I know that this is 45, if I double it, it'll make it 90, right? So 9 plus 9, or 9 times 2, your choice, they're both 18, okay? So you have to find the relationship between what you have and what they're asking you, okay? Let's do one more. If 20% is 13, what is 100%? Okay, I know my 20%. I need to know 100%. What is the relationship between 20 and 100? How many 20s make 100? 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. 5 20s make 100, right? So if I multiply this by 5, I'll get my 100%. So 5 times 13, 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1, 5 times 1 is 5, and 1 is 6. So 100% is 65. Okay, you go answer the last couple. All right, number 10. Artie wants to leave a 15% tip on a meal that costs 60 bucks. How much tip should she leave? Remember that 15% equals 10% plus 5%, right? So she has a meal that costs 60 bucks. She wants to know 15% of that. So we could figure out 10% and then cut it in half and make 5% and add those together and find 15, right? We can do 10% of 60 all day long. Here's 60 times, remember, 10% is decimal 1 or 10 hundredths. That means we have 1 0, so we are going to shift the decimal 1 place. So 10% of 60 is $6 and no change, right? Now, 5% is going to be half of this. So if I take 6 and cut it into 2, I get 3. So this is 5%, this is 10%, and together they make 6 and 3 is 9, and they make 15%. Okay? So she needs to leave a $9 tip. She should probably just round it to 10 if she's a good server. That's not the question, what the question asked. Okay, 11. A shirt that usually costs 40 bucks, 40 bucks for my shirt, is on sale for 25% off. Okay? What is 25% of 40? What is 40 take away 25% so that we can tell the price of the shirt? Okay. So, how are we going to figure out 25%? We don't know how to do 25%, but we know how to do 10, right? So we could do 25, we could do 2 10s and a 5. We could do that. So, let's start by figuring out what 10% of 40 is. So, 40 times 10%, remember that's decimal 1, because you have 10 hundredths, right? So that means 1 decimal place. So we're going to take it and skip it. Here's my decimal, 1 decimal place. So it's $4, 4 decimal 0, right? So 10% is $4. So we need 2 10s. So we need a 10% and a 10%. So that's another $4. And then we need a 5%. Well, 5 is half of 10, right? So 5 would be half of whatever 10% is. 10% is 4, half of 4 is 2, right? So I've got 10, 10, 5. 10, 10, 5 makes 25. So 4 and 4 is 8, and 2 is 10. So that means that the discount, the 25% discount is 10 bucks. The shirt originally cost $40. The discount, this, is $10. So how much do you actually pay for the shirt? That's what they're asking. How would you estimate the price if a shirt that usually costs $32.99 is on sale for 25% off? Okay, so the second part of this, they're saying that the shirt costs $32.99. Well, finding half, like doing it the way we just did it, we could find 10% of $32.99, right? We would just skip the decimal one place. So we'd end up with $3, and remember we have to round it, so it would actually be $3.30 because the 9 would make us round up. But then we'd have to find half of that, and these are hard numbers to work with, right? However, what if we just rounded this to 33 bucks? Do you think the penny is going to make a big difference in our discount? Like the half a penny or whatever it is we get off? So if I were rounding that, I would round it. If I saw a shirt for $32.99, I wouldn't even attempt to do the math on $32.99. I'd do it on 33 because that's just way easier. Okay? All right, that's it for today. See you tomorrow.